We got UFC strawweight Ashley Yoder joining us here on the program. He's actually got a fight coming up here on July 31st. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, Ashley, how are you this morning?
I am so good. Thank you for having me back.
Of course. It's always good to chat with you. You're training at CSA right now, you were telling me. How's all that going?
Yeah, I come up here. I'm trying to come up here as much as possible. As in the last probably 3 fights, I've had Coach K, Kieran from CSA Combat Sports Academy in my corner. I come up here and get some good training with the girls. There's a lot of little girls, really good striking academy. So, it's very well-rounded, but I really enjoy coming up here and becoming a Muay Tiger.
Muay Tiger. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
I like that. That's cool. You should put that on a T-shirt. I think that would be very fitting. So there you go. Got to trademark it, though. I know the last fight didn't go the way you wanted against Angela Hill. Sort of looking back on that performance, what did you take away the most?
Man, I think the only thing we could take away is that I can get my ass beat for 15 minutes and not give up. So, I'm not really looking back at that performance other than, it was a bad performance. And of all my fights, it's absolutely the top worst performance I think I've had. So, there's a lot of things that go into the actual fight. And I to be completely honest with you, I felt really good going into it. I wouldn't have took that fight if I had any idea that I was not going to be able to step up or perform like I know I can. So, it was just a lot going on, coming back after that second, that little break, taking that 2 weeks in between. It was the first time having a fight fall through the day of the fight. I just it's an adaptation, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was a really shitty performance, and I'm just looking forward to, really getting that stain off my name and coming back as the true spider monkey that I am. So
love it. Okay, that's great. And you must be excited about this opponent, Junyu Fry, really solid opposition. How are you looking at this fight from a style perspective?
I think it's a really good style for me. For me, I'm an MMA fighter through and through. I have to tell people this all the time. Yes, I've excelled in jiu-jitsu, and I started MMA, pure MMA, man. So there's stylistically, put me with anybody, and you're still going to get an awesome fight. Anything better than the last one's going to be an amazing performance. So I'm really excited about this fight.
And then how are you structuring your camp? Because I know you do a lot of cross training. Have you sort of mapped out what things are going to look like from now all the way leading into July 31st?
Yeah, man. I'm just going back and forth, staying in California, of course, but going up here, staying up here, training, going back home, getting my jiu-jitsu, coming back up here, getting my striking, getting that wrestling in between, and my conditioning rounds everywhere I can. So, it's not a hard camp when it's still pretty close to home, and I'm going back and forth. So I'm really excited about this, man. You can only go up from here, right? Like you're at the bottom. So I'm really excited to get in there and just fucking give you a good show. So
I can tell you don't usually swear in our interviews, and I like this. There's a bit of emotion. No, you don't. Hey, listen, I'm Canadian, but you can swear all you want. It's all good with me, so it's fine. I like the emotion. It's good. So that's great.
Yeah, I'm definitely fired up for this fight. So I'm excited.
I wanted to talk quickly about this weekend's card, UFC Vegas 28. Really interesting fight in the welterweight division. I want to get your thoughts on it. We've got Miguel Beza, the undefeated Brazilian who's out of MMA Masters. He's going to be taking on Santiago Ponzinibbio. Right now in FanDuel, Miguel Beza minus 128, Ponzinibbio plus 104. Who do you like in that one? Because here's the thing. I'm going to kind of set this up for you. So Ponzinibbio, he's great on paper. He's looked amazing, but he lost his last fight. Of course, he had the layoff. He's 34 now. He's taken some bumps and bruises along the way, so he's looking to get back in the win column. He's fighting a guy in Beza who's undefeated, but you could argue that Ponzinibbio's fought better competition, kind of the biggest fight of his career. So how are you looking at this fight? Who do you think takes it?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I was just watching Dana break down the fight card for the week, this week's fights, and it looks like there's a potential for a great card, a bunch of KOs. So you got the main event, co-main event. But I definitely think, just because a lot of people like to write fighters off after one loss, and I think that's where I take it so much to heart is people are like, are you ready to retire? I'm like, bro, I'm just getting started. I've had a very rough, wins, losses, but I've always came to bring the performance. And I think it's really shown in my career that I am progressing. I think for this, in this situation, when you get in the UFC, it's all tough guys. And pretty sure it's his first fight in the UFC. Am I correct?
No, Beza's fought. He actually beat Matt Brown in his last fight, so he's had a couple fights now. I want to say four or five. So the thing is, like, he's, you know, obviously he's had a few fights, but he just hasn't fought the level of Ponzinibbio. So it's kind of one of those crossroad fights where you got this prospect who's looking to build a name, and Ponzinibbio is still showing he's relevant, because people forget Ponzinibbio has a win over Neil Magny, which is a great win to have, because Magny's pretty solid, right?
And I think that was probably one of the last fights I saw of
Ponzinibbio.
But yeah. And I just think, for sure, it's going to be a great fight. And I think that you can't always count the guys that have been the staples and had the harder competition out, you know? So, yeah, definitely. I'm excited for that fight as well.
Okay, and then co-main event, you referenced it there, Marcin Tybura, Walt Harris. Should mention Walt Harris is part of your management team, but still, just throwing that out there. Marcin Tybura, minus 172, Walt Harris, plus 140. Another interesting scenario where, you know, Tybura's on a nice winning streak heading into this one, hasn't necessarily fought the guys that Walt has. Walt has 2 losses, but they're to Overeem and to Volkov. I mean, we're talking 2 of the top heavyweights in the world. So how do you look at this fight? Who do you think gets it done?
No, I think Walt Harris, the big ticket man, he's not one to be counted out. He's been going, you know, the last year or so has been pretty hard on his family. And, you know, you took a fight on that first loss. Like, I can't even count out. Like, you know, I've been through some tragic things in my life, and the fact that he even stepped up to take that fight is impressive at that shorter, you know, it's hard, you know, you can fake it and try to push through, but, you know, mentally that it wears a lot on you, no matter how much support you have, you know. So I'm really excited for this fight. I'm going Harris all day, not just because, you know, we're team the dark side, but I definitely think he's going to be one to show that those 2 losses were irrelevant. They were 2 tough guys, and you know, those guys were, time you lose and someone's been a vet, they're like, oh, you're losing to has-beens. Like, you can't count these guys out. So especially in that weight class, because these guys are coming to knock someone out, and all it takes is one punch. So getting his mind right, coming in with that kind of I'm sure he has, you know, this chip on his shoulder to show you guys that he's meant to be here. So I'm excited for that fight, actually.
And then sticking with the heavyweights, the main event is Jairzinho Rozenstruik, minus 122 favorite against Augusto Sakai, plus 100. Rozenstruik coming off a loss to Cyril Gahn, but, you know, still a very top guy, you know, trains an American top team and all that. Who do you like in this fight in the main event?
Yeah, I think Rozenstruik is very tough, man. This guy, I was on that card when they fought, and it's just like, this dude is huge. Like, this guy is so big, right? So, like, you know, they all have the knockout power. They all have the ability to come in and just get the show for the crowd. So that's what I think I'm most excited about, but I'm definitely going with Rozenstruik on that main event card.
Before we go, what's your plan for the rest of the week? I know you're doing training, doing anything exciting this weekend, or what
No, just training, man. I'm going to start my camp full force right now, and you know, I've been blessed to be able to travel with some of the fighters to different gyms around here, so getting different feels, getting a lot of knowledge, and every time I come up, I learn something new. So I'm really excited, just building that confidence, and going to come with the A game on July 31st.
And how cool was it, before we go, Jared Vanderaa, I know someone you know quite well, got his first UFC win. What did you think of that? It was a great fight.
Not only first win, he got fight of the month, he got fight of the night, like performance of the night. Dude, I'm so happy for him, because that's the Jared I know, you know. It's really funny. I got a text message that from my manager. We both deserve to thank you, and there's no thanks needed for me, because the man did his own thing, and I'm just really glad that people can see the talent of this young guy. He's young, man. He's a baby, but he has a full future ahead of him, and I'm really excited for him. So,
Ashley, thanks so much for doing this. I'll let you get back to training. Anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media, I'll give you the last word.
Man, of course. Make sure thanking my management team, Iridium Sports, you, man, for always having me. Thank you so much. You've always been great to me over the years. And I have Dynamic, Team Quest, CSA, RFBJJ, my Checkmate team. Ricardo Feliciano is my coach. So, yeah, everybody that Dr. Toy, my chiropractor, anyone that has put energy into me and believed in me, especially when I didn't believe myself. Thank you guys so much, all my fans and supporters. I'm so grateful. Thank you.